announcing Soul Seeds.
Soul Seed.
Soul Seeds. Soul Seeds. Cultivating collective consciousness.
Hey, hope you can hear me. I have learned my lesson from the past, and so I am going to check and make sure that I'm able to be heard um, before I get going. Okay, so it seems like I can be heard. I'm going to pause these windows. Um, or the volume. I want to turn out the volume in these other spots. So, hey, I just want to say this. I'm doing this podcast because Spirit told me to do this. Okay, it is such an act of vulnerability. Um, I I really like doing things really well, and this is like not an area that I know really what I'm doing. So I just really have to be out here and be not knowing what I'm doing, but still doing my best, and therefore not being at the level that I like to be at when I'm doing things. And so I'm here doing it anyway. But there's a lot about this that is like feels very um, I feel very out. I feel very, I guess, a lot of vulnerability in this and just engaging in this, which I think is great. I think it's great, to lean out and practice that kind of vulnerability. So, um, I'm here for it, and I'm here for being honest about it as well. So we're going to get started. First thing that I want to do is to go over the basic ground rules. Not going to go into big detail. I think we can understand them. But rule one, we're going to be nice. Anybody come in here, we're going to be treating everybody like they family. We're going to disagree with love in loving ways. So whenever that moment where that's relevant comes along, we're going to be nice to whomever we interact with up in here. I do want to say that if you watch this and you want to chat, the best space to do that in is on YouTube. YouTube's the best place for chatting with me, as that's where I can see it in the application that I'm using to um, handle this live stream. Okay, so we're gonna ground rule 2. We're gonna make space for all entry points. If a person into these things we talking about, they know a lot about it, they know more than me about it. Great, love that, and love the information that can come. Don't have any relationship to this and is just curious for whatever reason, jumping in here. We're going to be making room for in space for that. So if you want to get any updates about me and what I'm doing, and to know what is going on within with this, to hear when I'm doing this and other things like that, you can go to yaneindigo.com and click that join button right there, and that will take you here. You can complete this, and this is how I will share with folks whatever it is that I've got going on, and send updates and stuff. I'm not gonna do it any other kind of way because I don't want to impose in people's inboxes. Number 4, I'm not coming here as an expert. I'm coming here to share. I'm an expert in my own experiences. I'm coming here to share with folks what it is that I've experienced, and and learn from folks. So no pedestals. The people who I bring in, some of them, will be really hopefully, like, I'm intending to bring in people who have way like extensive knowledge and experience in things that we're interested in, and at the same time, we want to make sure that we engage with everybody as extensions of ourselves. Um, this is a space of vulnerability and transparency. Um, and this is a space where we will move. I love to dance, and that really helps me in this space because, like I said, like I don't really feel like I know what I'm doing like that, but I'm still here doing it because I was told to. And so having movements moments is really great. So in that spirit, let's move. Let's go over the purpose of this show. And
While we're here jamming,
yeah.
let's talk about the purpose of this show.
Um,
Soul Seeds is a place where I invite my guests to share from their personal experiences and discuss their spiritual practices in order to help us to individually and collectively increase our spiritual intelligence. And I'll share from my journey in that same way as well. You'll witness conversations about spiritual practices, ancient wisdom, and modern liberation. And you'll be welcome to ask questions in real time and after the show because we'll pull your questions and answer them in future episodes too. I mean, if we can. Each episode, we dig deep into different traditions and practices, learning how to connect us to ourselves, to each other, to the natural world, and to our collective power. We're bridging traditional knowledge with contemporary needs in support of you as you create pathways for your personal transformation and as we manifest community transformation together. Whether you're just beginning your spiritual journey or you're deeply rooted in practice, Soul Seeds, especially through our guests and our dialogue with viewers, offers fertile ground for growth, understanding, and collective evolution. Together, we're cultivating consciousness that liberates us all. Now, that's a reason to dance. Hey, get it? Hey, 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 get it?
So I hope that you take advantage of these dance breaks because I don't know. I think it's great to move together. So um, again, in the event that you watch this live and you want to comment, and I would like to see it, please go to the YouTube channel, Yane Indigo live on the YouTube channel, and check me out there. And I'm gonna see if there's an easy way to put that. I could put that here on the. I thought I'd be able to just. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is in the. I think that should take you here. And yeah, so okay. So I am currently in Thailand. I got here in Thailand on Saturday of last week. So where I am, it's Monday. It's officially 7 p.m. Sunday night Eastern. However, where I am in Thailand, it is 6 a.m. or I guess 6:12 a.m. Um, Monday morning. And I got here, like I said, 2 Saturdays ago. And because I'm here in Thailand, and I'm not really ready to have um, the second video guest. I really want to have my guests with me right now. I know I'll shift to that and maybe even by next month and soon, but I'm not ready for that yet. And so I decided to, I had a couple of approaches that I was going to take, but I decided that I would just, I'm going to say I decided, but I don't know. Maybe it was kind of decided for me, but this is going to be just um, a session, just myself. I'm not going to have a guest this week or this month. Um, and the reason I say that maybe it was decided for me, well, first of all, I'm in flow. And so being in flow on a certain level, like everything is being decided for me. Um, and still by me, but like in this kind of connected, who's making the decisions kind of way. So I think that that's a part of why I am in a position to do the show myself because there's just some things that I've been experiencing that maybe it's just important that there's some space to share from some of those experiences. So I want to start with the book that I'm writing. I'm writing a book called Soul Seeds, like this show. Soul Seeds, the book. It's a kind of and show instead of tell approach to kind of the vision that I've received around liberation for us as a community of life, of living beings in this realm, and it is like it's a collection of short stories that demonstrates what it is that I have seen as being possible for us as far as like moving ourselves into a space of freedom. And the um, the first the one of the things that the book focuses on or is built around are the Ubuntu freedom principles of freedom. And the first principle of Ubuntu freedom is food is freedom. And in fact, I'm gonna pull up the website. You can go to the website ubuntufreedom.com, and if you scroll down, you can see and review the different principles. And I'm going to just read the first principle. Food is freedom. It says the earth provides all nutritional needs of all life forms freely. Every community ensures all members have the knowledge and ability to receive their food while taking responsibility for providing the nutritional sustenance every member requires. Our connection to growing and sharing food nourishes both body and spirit. And so the first chapter of the book Soul Seeds is called Seeds of Change. And one of the core principles that is explored in this chapter is this first principle, food is freedom. And I was having a conversation, I think it was just yesterday. Time, we know, many of us know, many of us perceive, many of us understand that time is not real. and it's more unreal for me right now. Like, I really can't keep track of time, partially because I'm still functioning on East Coast time while also functioning on this time in Thailand. I don't know what this time zone is called, but also functioning on the time here. So I think it was just yesterday I was talking to my a new comrade, Sandiso, and we were talking. Sandiso is doing a lot of work in exploration around um, food justice, food sovereignty, and also around um, just economic and what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I guess I'll just say economic kind of transformation uh, that really centers the concept of Ubuntu. And so we've been building and talking about a few things, and we were talking about seeds of change, and she, we were talking about the first couple of chapters, which she read of the book Soul Seeds, and just kind of like what the book is seeking to accomplish, and why the first thing is food, like where food and food sovereignty and food justice um, connects to that. And that conversation really inspired me to want to talk about that subject as a kind of entry point to the conversation around spirit here, because the first thing we understand as it relates to, so food is freedom, because if you don't have access to food, there are very few things, like there are a lot of things that are our basic needs, that we would consider our basic needs: housing, healthcare, of course food is one of those things. Food is the one of the most core of those things, food and water. Like, if you don't have a house to live in, that's not just, it's not right, it's not necessary. And you can survive that in a way that you can't survive complete lack of food, right? And so um, the separation of us from food through as a part of the building of this current kind of system and paradigm is one of the things that I think has um, really, like, the impact of it, I think, is much more substantial than um, than just not being able to get access to food. So we have the relationship that we talk about with growing food and how food is produced, and now we go in supermarkets and we just kind of buy it, and there's this separation, and we talk about that, but there's a deeper separation that happens in relation to us not actually connecting with the earth and receiving from the earth the food that she provides for us, or understanding how we fit into that cycle as being food that she's providing in the future for other life. There's a disconnecting from the actual consciousness of nature that has also happened with the separation of us from food, and the relationship to food, and our connection to the consciousness of nature is also really important as it relates to our ability to be free and experience freedom and share freedom and support freedom of all life, ourselves, and each other. And so the food is freedom principle is um, is more spiritual than it may initially come across, because we often think about things. I mean, everything is more spiritual than it may come across, right? In this context, and how we are um, have been developed and nurtured as a social community of life, the human kind of life community, inside of this Western capitalist context in particular, because there are always these pockets and communities of humanity that still hold dear the truths of life and our connection to all other living creatures and our connection to Mama Earth. And so they exist as continued examples and continued models. And so I don't want to speak as if it's a universal thing. However, there is the reality that for a large portion of us, and in some ways it's spreading, and in some ways it's retreating, right? So in some ways, the ideals of like this current capitalist framework are spreading further into communities that may have lived more um, connected to nature and less influenced by capitalism and the capitalist paradigm. Um, and so there's that spreading that's happening in that way into new territories, and into new communities. And at the same time, in these communities that have been subject to capitalism and the ideals that come with that, the hegemonic ideals, the imperialist ideals, the patriarchal ideals that come with capitalism, in those communities, there is a releasing, a separating from these concepts, and an effort to, and an intentionality around returning to the um, the core, returning to the truth, returning to our place in the natural ecosystem, in the universal ecosystem that includes all life, the life that feeds us and the life that we feed. And so, that being said, within this construct of capitalistic um, social norms, we have a lot of conversation around food and the way that we are disconnected from food, or I've heard lots of conversation around how we've disconnected from food, and we find food, like I said, in the supermarkets, and we just go buy the meat, and we're not really connecting to the animal that had to be sacrificed in order for that meat to be provided. We are not connected to the plant life that has also been sacrificed in order to be a provision of food for us. We are very comfortable with over consuming. We're very comfortable with discarding life that was sacrificed, killed, uprooted for us, and then we let it waste, myself included. We let it waste, we let it go to waste, we toss it, we make more than we need, and then don't eat the rest, don't share, all of these things, right? And so we have that reality. And then there's not necessarily a full connection to how that resonates in the realm of the spiritual. And so, what I have been experiencing is the reconnection to the consciousness of nature. That's been a real big part of what I've been experiencing over the last, I'd say, year in particular, little over a year at this point. But that's been like one of the biggest values that I've been experiencing. One of the biggest transformations that I've been experiencing is being able to see and hear um, the the nature, like the plants and the river, and to receive guidance and build relationships and receive gifts directly from nature. And because of that, I have a deep recognition, a deepening recognition of the separation that we have now as a larger community from that and what that means. So we know that there's like religion that has been spread upon us, and that the many of them, not all, but that some of these religions um, are explicitly separating us from the consciousness of nature, from our traditional spiritual practices, our ancestral spiritual practices, that very much, for me, I used to think of it like we tapped into and like had a connection with just like the value of life and of nature, and were considerate and caring about that value, and learning from watching patterns and that sort of thing, and gaining spiritual guidance through that. However, I have come through my own experiences to understand that it's not just interacting with this unconscious plant that has medicinal value, and learning the medicinal value, and then benefiting from the learning of that, or just watching these unconscious planets move around and watching and seeing the way that these planets interact and engage, and learning about seasons, and being able to come up with analogies based on, like, things dying in the winter and rebirthing in the spring. Like, it is that. And it is also the actual plants and celestial bodies and trees and soil and waterways communicating with us and making information known to us through a connection of consciousness. And so, in addition to us falling out of rhythm with the things that our ancestral practices showed us, we have fallen out of communication with nature, and we don't hear when she's telling us things. And being separated from food, the basic exchange of sustenance that comes through the cultivation of food and relationship with food, has contributed to that separation of our consciousness and our ability to hear and recognize the consciousness of the other life forces that we're moving around with. And I think that is substantially important for us to come to an understanding about, so that we can begin to shift into benefiting the value. So, like, when I came here to this hotel that I'm staying at here in Thailand, it's like a hotel, and it's got like grounds, and there's like a pool, and there's a courtyard, and there's mad trees all around, and plants growing off the trees. And I literally walked around and greeted every plant and tree on the grounds, and touched it and communicated with it, and said, and just greeted it and said hi and all that. And the reason I did that is because the tree outside of my door, I was going in and out because I got here for a couple of days, and the tree outside my door was like, you haven't even acknowledged me. Like, you walked by me and walked, like, held me to move back. There's like another little area right next to, I'm in the last room on the building, and then there's like a little area next to me, and the tree is there, and I kind of got to walk between like these two trees in order to get there. And so tree was like, you done really like been walking, using me as a resource, and you ain't said hi or anything. You have not acknowledged me at all. And I felt like the tree had that expectation because of the relationship that I have cultivated with nature, and stopped me and reminded me that I was being rude, and hello, we love each other. And so I was just grateful to not, like, that like nature don't really be getting mad at us in the ways that we get mad at each other in that same kind of way. And so was just like yo and still loving me, right? And because I want to actually stay in that relationship, and I want to stay in good relationship with um with with life. And so I immediately stopped, and I immediately went around to, like I said, every single plant and every tree on the grounds here, and some outside and beyond the grounds, and just greeted all of the life, and said hi, and I can hear that, and sometimes it's like you see somebody. I remember I was in Costa Rica with a number of people, including Felicia. And Felicia and I went to um, this private development that really is beautiful and terrible. And while we were, when we got there, like, Felicia was so overwhelmed emotionally from the despair that was in the grounds. And on one hand, like, I totally saw and believed what they were experiencing, and I didn't understand it because I couldn't hear it so well yet. And so on one hand, it was like, yeah, that's obvious. Like, when you pointed out, like, I can see that, but I really couldn't feel it because um, because I wasn't there yet, right? And now I can imagine, like, the actual embodied feeling in their body that they had to feel, like, not just sitting there and looking and knowing what it must be like, but actually feeling what it really is like to be that land, to be treated without the level of love, care, and respect, to be separated from the people that have historically been a part of um, the life and history of that land, to be chopped up and redirected with lack of regard, lack of reverence. Um, yeah, it was very different observing that from the place that I was in then. This was just over a year ago, and the way that I can imagine I may have felt walking onto that land if it happened now, with or without Felicia, or the insights that their presence gave me in that moment. And and I think also a thing that we do in general is we get used to feeling ways that we don't necessarily like. Maybe you feel like a certain amount of discomfort. You walk somewhere and it just feels icky, but you're not actually recognizing that what you're feeling is actually like the energy of the land or environment that's there. And so we can be experiencing the sadness of like the plants that are there, the animals that are around us, and not even understand that that's what's going on within our bodies and within our personal experiences. And so I think that, let me see something. I think that a, um, there's an understanding that I've gained through my pursuit. I wanted to know this, even though I didn't know what I wanted to know per se. Um, I had had my own set of experiences that were informing my desire to know more. And so there was an intentionality with which I was engaging in certain kind of experiences. I was very explicitly, verbally seeking to learn certain things, and and in that was being guided to how and where I would learn them. Everywhere I was traveling to, I was seeking to connect with spiritual leaders. I connected with people who had, spiritually gifted people home as well. Um, and then through that, I began to learn how to connect with nature, and then through that process began to hear nature. And so I think that this session of Soul Seeds is my call to communicate these things that I have learned and experienced, and and to put out a call for more of us to begin to do that, because there's that desire. There's the desire to be more connected, and there's the need. And when I'm talking about the desire, I mean the desire from the place of the natural world, the whole natural world. We are out of alignment. Like humanity is out of alignment in our disconnection of our consciousness. And there's a desire within us that we may or may not be tapped into, and a desire within the entirety of the natural world we're a part of, for that realignment to happen, for us to get back into alignment with the rest of nature, and to begin to share this consciousness, and for us to use our skills and our abilities as humans, as the human life forces, with the brain abilities we have, the creative abilities we have, the innovative abilities we have, our opposing thumbs, is that what it's called? Our ability to build and create and transform, to do that as a part of nature, as a resource of nature, and not to nature. There is the ability for us to be fully innovative and to be fully forward moving in technology in a way that is corroborative and collaborative with nature, and not extractive from nature. And this is something I've talked about, this journey that I've been on, and it's a very specific journey that's a part of a larger journey. So I've been on a particular journey that's been a little bit more of like a deep diving, intentional, faster, I don't know, like more specific quest in the last year and a half, or maybe 2 years, that then ramped up in the last year and a half. So I'd say maybe 2.5 years that ramped up in the last year and a half. And at the same time, we're all spiritual beings, right? And so I've had my own kind of experiences for well beyond that, from well before that. And so there are certain things that I've known. So they're like the different senses, right? They're the different senses of like spiritual senses that we have. We have um, I'm looking something up real quick. Um, if I can find it easily. Um, we have our human senses, all right, sight, touch, taste, hearing, and what am I missing? I said taste, smell, right? We have those senses, and we also have um, our spiritual senses, and the spiritual senses um, include like clairvoyance, um, and you know, and our ability to um, our clairsalience, those different things. Um, and I have the gift of, I think it's called clairvoyance. That's what I was trying to look up, which is like just knowing things sometimes. I can, like, sometimes I can hear things, at times I can feel things, sometimes like emotionally more so, like than like feeling something this way, like I can't necessarily feel what's in your body per se or whatever, but I can feel, like I feel senses of things sometimes, but like the knowing is the thing, I think, is where my strength is, as far as like my spiritual senses. And so, like, before there was a communication around the construct of time, I just, like, before I ever heard that communicated to me, I just one day just had an image and understanding and a knowing of like time as being something that is um, not actually like moving from one moment to the next, like that all moments in time exist and we move between them. And I had like this image that I received of a globe with longitudinal and latitudinal lines, and just kind of like the ability of us to move back and forth and around this globe. And that is what our experience with time is, just us experiencing that movement, but that it's like there's not a past, present, future. There's just now. That is something that I came to know. Um, I don't know, like a couple decades ago at this point. And um, and that's an example of things. Or sometimes I'll just know things about a person. I'll know a person is pregnant and having a girl. I'll just know things, about people. So that's like one of the gifts, and one of the things that I received that knowing about was that everything that we're doing with the technology that we have now, we are able to actually do it organically with technology, that um, that we can do it with nature. Everything we're doing, where we're stealing from nature, and that we were able to do that with nature. That was something that I also came to know around that same time that I had this understanding around time. So now we're here, and now I have another understanding of what that looks like, and I came to understand through this like connection of consciousness with nature, and being able to hear nature and be guided from nature by nature. I came to understand that nature will just let us know how to do things and provide the resources for what we need to do when we're working collaboratively, and we don't have to steal from nature. And and that goes back to Sandiso, because I was talking about this with Sandiso, and a great example of this that I was mentioning to Sandiso, a great example of this is the brother some of you may be aware of the brother who is in Zimbabwe who developed technology for um, a self-powered, I guess is how you would describe it, car that just is able to pull the energy out of the air, I guess, that exists, right? And I was talking to King earlier yesterday, may have been today, depending on where we are in the world. And King was mentioning that now I know Tesla's name, not Elon Musk's Tesla, Nikolai Tesla. I know Tesla's name, but I don't know what his science and everything was about. But he was saying that that's what Tesla was talking about too. Um, this brother, though, in Zimbabwe, from what I understand, he's like not an engineer. I don't know him, but I've been looking and watching things about him. From what I understand, from what I recall, from what I've seen, he wasn't like educated in this field. He got the information through like I don't know how he says it, but he got like inspired. Nature spoke to him and told him what to do. And now this ability to move and do things without having to extract all these resources out of the earth, without having to, you know, to pollute up the earth and damage the earth. I always think about like those oils have a role, right? Like just like we have inside our bodies, we need to have like lubrication around our joints so that they don't hurt. Like I just think about the pain that removing the elements that are inside of the earth to care for her creates for her. And it's not necessary because we can move and do without that extraction. And I feel like that is the call of the moment that I have been given, is to communicate around the importance of the right now of us to understand the ability for us to be a part of this collective consciousness. So there's one other thing I want to say, because then I want to wrap up. I have been blessed to be able to astro travel, where my consciousness, and I'm gonna say what happened, and if it's not called astral traveling, then whatever this is, that's what I did. Where my consciousness was able to go somewhere different than where my body was. And where I was focused on, what my focus was when this astral travel happened, and that's what we're going to call it. Maybe it's not the right term, but you know what I'm talking about. What I was focused on at that time was freedom. And where I traveled to was, and this goes all the way back around to what we talked about in the beginning, Ubuntu freedom, food is freedom, consciousness connecting us to our freedom. Where I went was to what the world looks like, where we are when we're free. And it made perfect sense. When I would imagine freedom, I would imagine something very similar to what we exist like right now, but without all of the oppression and competition and extraction and all of those things. And it is true, and it is more. When we are free, we all know everything because we all are tapped into the collective consciousness, and not just the collective consciousness of this planet realm, but much farther beyond that. And so when we need something, we collaborate with the rest of life to create and make that thing happen. And so freedom, when we're in freedom, we're in a place of creativity, innovation, and joy. So, one of the things that I remember is there were a couple of people or a couple of locations. Okay, I remember where they are. One was Ananka. Yo, I was just thinking about you. I was just like, where is Ananka? I was just thinking about you. I was just thinking about your shirt and how I need to get your shirt to you. Like literally, like I manifested you, girl. I miss you. Okay? I miss you. Woo! All right. Mwah! So glad to see your name right there. But I'm gonna jump into still what I was saying. And I'll reiterate for anybody else who may decide to leave a comment at any point in time that if you I see a couple somebody left a comment on Instagram, I will see the comment best if it is left on YouTube. I'll see it in the app that I'm using. Um, that's where Ananka left her comment. But what I wanted to say is, okay, so as it relates to this place where freedom and what freedom looks like and what freedom it feels like and what that experience. In the Matrix and in the report from a man who said that he traveled to the future, right? So there was this man who said that he had traveled to the future, and in this future that he traveled to, everything was automated. There was all this AI and stuff. People didn't have to work, and everybody was miserable. This is what he talked about, right? That when everybody's needs were met and everybody was miserable. Same thing that they said in the Matrix. If you watch the Matrix, you'll remember that they talked about trying to create a perfect world for everybody, but that everybody went insane, or I don't remember exactly what they said, but they were basically saying like they had to have suffering, people had to have these things in order to be able to, I don't know, feel human, be okay, whatever, for the system to work. And so what I want to say is that's not true. Maybe it's true if there's like a whole bunch of animation and there's the technology that's being developed is still extractive and we're not in collective consciousness with the earth, right? And with nature. If that's the case, then maybe it is true that we would be in that situation because we're actually still not free, because we're actually not connected, and our freedom is so integrated with our connection. However, hey Indiana, mwah! Y'all making me so happy because I be up in here feeling like I'm talking to myself and thinking I'm talking to myself the whole time. So I'm so happy that I'm not only talking to myself, and I'm talking to my sisters who love me and who I love and who know what I'm talking about, and they know all about it too. Yes. Oh, but yes, if we are not connected and we are just continuing to steal and extract from nature and from, and creating mechanisms that make us, that provide food for us, but we're not actually having connection and deference to the food sources, we're not seeing our connection to that cycle. When I choose what I'm eating, when I think about my diet and I think about the choices I make for my body, I think about the fact that I want to be good food. When my body transitions, I want to be healthy food. We need to understand ourselves in that cycle. And when we shift in that way and we build and shift into a collective consciousness, everything is joyful. We're not working, we're innovating, we're being creative, and we're full of joy. And it's not boring. And we're like flying through life. Like everything everything is amazing and beautiful when we become one. That is what I saw when I traveled. And so the shift that we're making, and we are making a shift collectively, the shift that we're making, I hope that understanding or like whatever I'm able to share from like my own journey around like that connection that I've begun to be able to make will inspire others to like seek it. Because I'm trying to watch the time. The thing that I've also learned is that the intention will guide your path. I've learned this in so many ways when it comes to like knowing your purpose. If you don't know where your purpose is, if you don't know where you're supposed to go, your intention to be in alignment with your purpose will guide you there. Even if you think your purpose is here and your purpose is there, your effort to go here you will still get rerouted there. You may come here and this will help you know that you need to come here. Whatever it is, your intention will get you there. So your intention to be in alignment with your purpose and your intention to be in alignment with spirit is all you need to begin to get there. And so my hope is that my own kind of sharing from my journey in this hour will help someone else to just step into the intention and activate towards moving us, because we are still all one, towards that collective conscious space that we're being called to, because the call is here. And so that's my story. That's my story. I don't know if anybody has a question. I'm like looking again real quick at the other locations just to see. I see a couple of comments, but no questions. I see a hello from somebody whose name is Feeding Starving Orphans. What a name. And I appreciate the well wishings and the greetings. And super happy to see folks that joined the live, and really appreciative again of the chats. They are encouraging. And since I don't see anything that's left as a question, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to invite y'all to dance with me and dance it out. I gotta find the song. I do have a second song in here. So I gotta figure out where that is, or I may have to go without it because it's not my expertise. I'm not an expert podcaster person. Oh, but I think I found the song. Where is this? All right. So wait, I hope that y'all gonna dance with me because I want us to dance together. But wait a minute. Wait, how I put it up here. All right, let's see if this works. Hey, yes. I hope you all can hear it with me. All the tracks that I play here are all produced by Crossroads Labels. We working on a project together. So let's dance. Next time, I'm going to play the track for the doo-doo, which is a new song I'm working on. All that I give blesses and increases all that I receive. Peace, y'all. Thank you so much. And I want to talk to both y'all. I want to talk to you, Ananka. I want to talk to you, Indiana. Let's chat like super super immediately, soon as possible. All right. Mwah. Love you. Love you. Love you all. Love every living thing. Peace, love, and blessings. We out. Did it.